Hello, everyone, from the Matt Morris Digital Studio here in Fresno. This is the Beem and Dean Show, episode number 57 on this Thursday. We have a very special guest today. Jackson Moore joins us from barkboard.com. Great to have you, buddy. Great to have you. And with that being said, we're going to go straight in. We're coming in hot. All right, gentlemen, the big news out of Fresno State this week is Clovis quarterback Deegan Rose choosing Fresno State, decommitting from Oregon State. Well, let's give our guest the floor. What do you think?
A huge pickup for Fresno State, obviously. It's interesting because Coach Ince and the staff that come in, they've got no ties to the Valley for the most part. A couple of guys they kept around, but you wondered if they even wanted the kid, right? And then they scout him, and I think the staff fell in love, and they're like, we got to find a way to get him to stay home.
Absolutely, yeah. So Scotty, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, and part of the reason that I mentioned this for coming in hot was I think this may be the biggest moment so far in the Matt Entz tenure at Fresno State. Sure, this 5-1 start has been great on the field, right? And the culture that he's bringing, the toughness, all that stuff. I mean, it's off to a great start. But once you prove, I think, Jackson, to the Central Valley that you're recruiting local kids and you can get high-profile local kids like Deegan Rose, because, Deegan's a 3-star recruit, but he has some major, major offers out there on the table as well. And getting him to flip from a commitment already and choose the Bulldogs, I think speaks volumes about the impact that this coaching staff is having. I feel like this might be the biggest moment so far for the staff.
I think so. He's 3 stars, but 1 point shy of 4 stars. So we got a bit of a scale there, and he's very close. He is the highest rated commit we've got in our database for Fresno State at quarterback since Derek Carr. So you look relative to the other 3 stars they've gotten, it's huge. And what win does Fresno State have? Is there a signature win yet? They've been rolling, but I don't necessarily think there's one marquee victory quite yet.
Could come later in the year,
yes,
right?
They go to Boise. Anytime you beat Boise on the blue turf, that's big. But this is a big one. This is one of those commitments that could domino into more for you.
Well, plus he seems like a great fit, Dean, for the Fresno State system that Matt Entz is running.
Right.
Deegan's got a great arm. It's not like he's immobile. He can move a little bit, right? But the offense that they're running, more of that pro-style offense.
Sure.
He seems like he's going to fit right in. And he also told me on the phone, the other night when we were talking to him after he made the commitment to Fresno State, that his offenses he's running at Clovis High right now, very similar to Fresno State's.
Right. Interesting. So what do you guys think, honestly, though, like from a Valley standpoint? Do you think this could be a springboard for Entz and the rest of the staff to maybe get some more local kids, maybe some kids from the Central Valley, Bakersfield, LA? So what do you guys think?
It's a little late in this cycle, but Malcolm Watkins from Frontier High School is also committed to Oregon State. That's a guy that Deegan could try to flip over.
Sure.
Interesting.
So that's probably the bullseye right now. They've been going after a few of these guys that are committed to other Power 4 conferences, but probably more towards 2027. These kids that are going through the process early, they see Deegan commit, now they're a little more interested in the Bulldogs.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, Scotty, any last thoughts on recruiting before we...
Yeah, well, just to kind of build on that a little bit, obviously I think Matt Entz and his staff are going to be hyper-focused on the Central Valley in general when it comes to the normal type of athlete that ends up at Fresno State, those 3-star recruits, right? Out of the track or, playing at San Joaquin Memorial, places like that. But I think what's a little different about this, it's almost like when Jalen Cropper committed to play for the Bulldogs, right? This was a next level guy who's just a little tier above the type of guy that Fresno State normally gets. And once you start, getting those type of guys, well, through word of mouth, I just feel like it kind of has a domino effect in a way. Plus, all these kids know each other, right, Jackson? So they start talking, right? Jaden Carrillo apparently played a little bit of a role in getting Deegan Rose to Fresno State. But in a way, Deegan Rose could end up being the best recruiter for Fresno State going forward, right?
Yeah, and in general, it could be a year or two. You could have Deegan Rose throwing passes to Harold Duvall.
Wow.
He was the best value commit last year, and one of the rare 4 stars that Fresno State's gotten in general. So Cropper does feel like the one that launched it. And you look, and there's been a few, about 1 or 2 each class down the road, and this could even multiply into more, I'd say.
Yeah, it's exciting. Honestly, guys, it's very, very good news. So I'll get to my coming in hot topic here. So the NCAA Administrative Committee adopted a proposal on Wednesday allowing student athletes potentially to bet on pro sports, not college sports. But again, I just want to kind of pose it to you two gentlemen, sports wagering in general. Now that we're going to allow our college athletes to bet on pro sports, why can't we bet on pro sports in 50 states? I just want to throw it to you guys first.
Well, it's kind of ironic, right, that one of the reasons for this probably, picking up pace as far as getting it enacted into an actual rule was because of probably the Fresno State men's basketball scandal with regards to that.
Yes.
Because, there was, a couple guys, obviously, who were involved in it. And there was one, our point guard, why does his name escape me?
Collins.
Yes, Zan Collins, the point guard coming back for Fresno State, who, at least from what's been reported, that he possibly was engaged in a little bit of activity, but not betting on college sports. I think this is actually a good move by the NCAA because you can't monitor everything, right? And sure, it'll never be okay for athletes to bet on their own games, or probably it's a good idea not to bet on college sports in general, right? Because that is a slippery slope we don't want to be going down.
Sure.
But with the proliferation of sports betting, with how mainstream it has gotten, if a college kid who's playing on on Fresno State wants to put $10 on the Lakers game that night, I think, honestly, that's okay. And that shouldn't cost somebody, a college career or anything like that. I just think that it's kind of another instance of the NCAA saying, we don't think that we can really monitor this, effectively. And, they're not encouraging college athletes to bet. I think they're still saying, hey, don't do this. We encourage you not to get involved in this kind of activity. But having said that, right, we understand that there's a lot of other college kids who aren't playing athletics,
right,
who are sitting around in their dorm rooms probably on a nightly basis, putting $10 on a game, $15 on a game. And so, I think that's why this came about. I think it's the NCAA actually being relatively smart about this sort of thing and just realizing, how are we going to police this? How are we going to monitor this on this level? And if it's not directly affecting college athletics, then hey, let's just take this rule off the books.
Jackson, you cover multiple programs, obviously, for your job. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think even when they were policing it, you look at Collins and he missed a game or two, I think, when it happened, and it was more about the investigation to make sure it wasn't anything further with the own games. It didn't feel like you had a violation, and it wasn't a big deal, it felt like. So why is it an issue in the first place? And as mentioned, I think just trying to monitor that for what appeared to be something minor to the NCAA didn't seem to be very realistic.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my take basically is I hope it kind of goes the way stock trading did a few years ago when you used to have to pay to trade. And then Robinhood came in and made free trades, and then all of a sudden everyone's offering free trades. So I hope this opens the windfall for sports betting in the state of California. Obviously, you know how, guys, I feel about that. So
Dean's trying any which way he can.
I'm very open on this. I mean,
California.
I do fantasy contests, but I would love to have the ability to sports wager in California, obviously paying all the taxes and all the fees that have to be. I feel like it's a missed opportunity.
Dean is one of those few guys who would be paying taxes because he can actually win doing it.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to bring it up to you guys and just see what you guys thought. So we got some marquee games this weekend going on. Let's start with our local team again. We'll go right back to Fresno State. So they have a big game in Fort Collins on Friday night against the Rams. Not a marquee for Colorado State team this year, obviously, compared to years past. Jay Norvell's doing his best there, but it's been a rough sled. So, Jackson, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think it's a short week. It's on the road. There might be some rain. There probably won't be a big crowd the way the Rams are playing. We've seen Bulldog teams lay eggs in these types of situations, unfortunately.
Yes.
But I think when you look at the matchup, Nevada, not very good, but their D-line very good. Hawaii's D-line very good. I think it caused problems. Colorado State's D-line not very good. So
right.
I think the Bulldogs are going to be able to run the ball quite efficiently. The Rams are last in the conference in run defense. I think as long as they don't get hiccups from all the intangibles, that this is going to be a very lopsided game. And the fact that the line's only a touchdown or whatever right now.
Yeah, it is. It's 7, straight 7 right now.
I think
we're getting an early lean on someone that Jackson might be taking.
Maybe, yeah. I might be hearing a dog barking here. Pun intended. So, Scotty, what's your take on this game?
My take is this is a game that Fresno State has to win, right? It shows that you are one of the marquee programs in the Mountain West. If you go to Fort Collins, you just take care of business, right? And when I say take care of business, I'm not saying win the game 42-3 or anything. I'm just saying win by 2 scores, right? I mean, this Fresno State team has shown that they're about trying to run the ball, trying to take care of the football, and in recent weeks, forcing turnovers and playing good defense, playing good special teams. And if they play a clean football game, I'd be really surprised to see Colorado State come out of here with a W. The one thing I will say, it'll be Friday night on the road. the Dogs are probably getting a little bit fortunate here. I don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like, but I can't imagine at 1-4, your Colorado State coming into this game on a Friday night, that it's going to be some kind of crazy atmosphere there. So I think the Dogs are going to get a little bit of a break there. The weather looks very good, right? When you're going to Fort Collins, that's always a concern. And so, you don't want to be playing in a snow game if you're Fresno State.
Yeah, Laramie and Fort Collins, man, those two sites, dear Lord.
Yeah.
The state of Colorado can be a tricky place. So, Jackson, what were you saying?
Yeah, I think if the Bulldogs do run the ball effectively and establish the line of scrimmage, I think they're going to blow them out. And if they fail to do that, they're going to have to scratch and claw to get that win at the end.
Yeah, so. No question. I completely agree with you. Like, you just don't know sometimes with Jay Norvell what's going to happen. So he's pulled surprises out of his hat before, so we'll see.
Keep in mind, though, that this Colorado State team was picked 4th in the preseason Mountain West poll, and they were very competitive last year at Valley Children's Stadium. They're having some quarterback issues there.
Yeah.
The starter at the beginning of the year, who was
Nicolosi,
was a really good player
really good
coming back.
Yeah.
Pretty highly touted coming back, has been replaced. He's been benched, apparently. But there is some talent on this team, and there were some preseason expectations for the Rams. And so, you can never take anything for granted.
Yeah, they took Washington to the fourth quarter earlier this year. They did on the road. So I did see that. But, yeah, they've struggled since that game. So we'll see. All right, let's get to the other marquee games. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Indiana Hoosiers are our marquee game this week, traveling to Eugene to play the Oregon Ducks. Number 7 versus number 3. Boys, who wants to take it?
I'll lean towards Jackson. He's our expert here today.
Go ahead, Jackson. We got you here.
Let's see. Well, I cover the Oregon Ducks now, the recruiting specifically. But
congrats, by the way. That's awesome, man.
Much.
Awesome.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I have been digging a little bit more into the team side, and this Indiana team, Fernando Mendoza's a quarterback's a guy I covered at Cal Berkeley the last couple of years. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. From the recruiting standpoint, I'm breaking down the talent, and Oregon is just head and shoulders above. But Indiana, I mean, you look at 63-10 against Illinois. Like, there's something making up for things over there. But I think the Ducks at home, I like their odds. I'm excited about the quarterback battle, but I think Oregon's going to overpower them eventually.
Yeah, and that Illinois team you're mentioning too then beat USC the following week. So our, Scotty's beloved Trojans and my beloved Trojans. So Scott, what are your thoughts really quick on
Oregon, Indiana? Well, it's kind of surprising, don't you think, Dean, that this line is only like around 7.5?
It's right at that 7 mark.
It shows you the respect that the wise guys, the experts in the desert, have for Indiana at this point. I mean, I figured this would probably be 10-13, somewhere in there, right? But they loved what they saw, apparently, the guys who make the power ratings and stuff and make these lines from Indiana. Mendoza looks really good. You got a Heisman candidate, the Heisman favorite, Dante Moore, at this point on the other side. From that game against Penn State, I didn't get a chance to really watch it play in and play out. Saw my usual Big Ten and 60 on it, right? But coming out of that game, Jackson, do you think this Oregon team has, typical Oregon type of talent? I mean, is this team capable of winning a national championship?
I think so. They were up 17-3. It looked like it was game over, and then they had to fight it out, and they clawed it out, and they did show some guts there at the end to pull out the win. They have the talent. It was just a lot of these guys aren't as experienced as past Oregon teams, so you wondered, they'll probably be good, but not win the big ones, and they already won the big one at Penn State. So if they get this one, I mean, it's a clear path ahead for the rest of the regular season.
I'm going to say, Indiana, watch out, because that environment, it's only 53,000 fans, but they are loud and they're right on top of you. So I don't know if Indiana's played in a game like this, in the Big Ten.
Well, I will
this
say,
is not the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I'll give a little teaser for later, right? Money plays.
Yeah.
I would be a little surprised to see Indiana actually go into Autzen Stadium and come out of there with a win. And so that'll be maybe part of one of my plays a little
Gotcha. Bit. All right, a couple more games really quick. We got the Red River rivalry. So you've got Texas, who's struggling, lost at Florida last weekend. And then Oklahoma, we're not sure if Mateer's going to play. So, but always a tough rivalry matchup. They played at the Cotton Bowl at the Texas State Fair. So any thoughts, gentlemen, on this one?
Well, this is interesting, right? Because there's some rumors out there that John Mateer might play in this game.
Yep.
And that's why I'm a little cautious as to what to do with this game as far as from a wagering perspective, if I was going to have a play on this. Because my first inclination, if Mateer wasn't playing, was that it basically is around a pick 'em, right? And if you've got the backup quarterback for Oklahoma who struggled last season in this game against Texas, he played in that game,
right?
Going up against, I know Texas has been hit and miss, and Arch has taken a bunch of criticism and, everything else, and hasn't looked great, he's still, has a huge upside, right? And this Texas team still has a bunch of dudes. But I think Mateer is kind of the X factor here in this game. If he can play, and if he can play effectively. I don't know what the status is, of his hand at this point.
Right.
It sounds like he's trying to convince the coaching staff to let him play.
That's what it sounds like to me, too.
I will say this. If you've got, I don't know, is it on his right hand? Do you know? Is it
I'm
his
not
throwing
sure.
hand?
I'm honestly not sure.
But Mateer is a big threat running the football, right? He's almost like a bruising Josh Allen type of runner with the ball as well. And so even if he can only throw marginally effectively, just getting him in there as a runner might be worthwhile for them. So I'm just interested to watch this game because with all the uncertainties, I don't really know what to do with it.
Sure. Let's go really quick back to the SEC for a second. Another game. You've got Alabama after their big win against Vanderbilt. Can't believe we're saying that, but it's true. Big win over Vanderbilt. Now they have to go to Columbia, Missouri and play an undefeated Missouri Tigers team. So, Jackson, you want to take this one?
That's one of those ones where Alabama's totally expected to win when you see those names and those numbers in the rankings, but I think a lot of these teams are pretty even. We saw what Missouri did to Kansas. They're at home.
Yes.
It's one where Alabama's not going to get they're not going to get any leeway if they lose this one, but they very well could. And I kind of like the Missouri's odds to pull this one off.
Yeah, it's about a field goal game. Scotty, your thoughts?
This is another test for Alabama. I was talking with Jackson before we started taping this that it's crazy right now, Dean, in the Big Ten and the SEC with how loaded they are, with all these teams, right? However many teams they have, 16 in the SEC, I think now, 18 in the Big Ten, I think it is.
High teens.
There are so many teams that feels like there's just so many more marquee games, right? And you got Alabama. They feel like they've played a marquee game for the last month, right?
Absolutely.
Every single week. And so they get a big win, over Georgia. Then they got Vandy, and suddenly Vandy's a huge game. And then they win that game, and now you got another big game on the road at Missouri. This may actually be the toughest of those three games in the end because Missouri has a talented quarterback there. I think they're undefeated.
They are
at this point.
Yeah.
Like Jackson mentioned, they beat Kansas. Kansas was hanging around, actually had a lead in that game for a while. But if you look at the numbers, they really were in Missouri's side of the ledger. They kind of dominated that game from a statistical point of view. But Missouri is a team to contend with, and so I wouldn't count this as a win by any means for Alabama.
All right, well, let's get to it. There's one more Big Ten game I got to get to. So we've got the Michigan Wolverines traveling cross country to Southern California to play the USC Trojans. I will be at that game. Looking forward to it. Always a great venue there. It's supposed to be sold out completely, so we'll see how that is. Well, hopefully I have pictures Monday. Yeah,
way
excited.
To go, Trojan fan base.
Excited about it. So, Scotty, you're my alum. So what are your thoughts on SC versus Michigan?
Cue what I just said about the SEC there with Alabama. It's kind of the way it is with SC
and paste
right
in
now.
USC.
And I'm kind of loving this SC and the Big Ten thing. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't think it's great for college football, right? That SC and all the Pac-10 schools, Pac-12 schools are now, it's been dissolved. But just selfishly, as a Trojan, we got Michigan coming into the Coliseum, on Saturday. This is cool. I mean, this is a big time game. It's all going to be about that SC defense,
right.
In this game. I mean, we saw some holes again, unfortunately, against Illinois. Illinois just decided, all right, we're just going to kind of physically run it down your throat, and SC didn't have an answer for them. And that's what we've seen over the last few years. We thought might be a little bit different. They had upgraded, their talent, hopefully, on that side of the ball. It's still an issue for SC. But maybe they can show that they're making strides when it comes to Michigan, because I think SC is going to put some points on the board in this game. It's just a question of, can they consistently stop the running attack, in my opinion.
We know that's what Michigan's going to do, Jackson.
You want to make Underwood throw.
Exactly. We know that's what Michigan's going to do. They're going to try to pound the rock for 60 minutes. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I like USC's more explosive offense. I think there's a little room for leeway.
Sure.
It's Michigan, it feels like even from last year to going into this year, there's just not quite that firepower. It feels like they're susceptible to getting knocked off in a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing, though, it is their third tough road test of the year. They've had to go already to Nebraska, which they won, and then they went to Oklahoma and lost. So This is number 3, so we'll see how they do. But going all the way cross country, tough environment, night game, 4:30, NBC,
Plus
Big Ten Saturday night.
The loser of this game is probably out of the playoff hunt.
Probably.
Right? I mean, you could make an argument if you win this game that you're still right in there.
Right.
But you lose this, so I mean, your season, as far as from a playoff perspective, is kind of on the line here.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get to our dogs of the week here, our big underdog of the week. So basically, we kind of each pick a team. So, Scotty, I'm going to start with you. Who is your underdog of the week?
All right, I think I'm going to go Mountain West. So I'll be interested to hear what Jackson thinks about this. This is like a true underdog of the week. This dog is a big dog. I think they'll at least be barking on some level,
okay.
Right? On Saturday. I'm taking New Mexico. So this is a dog that I think could actually win the game outright, right? That's what we go with our underdog plays here.
What is it, 18 and a half, I believe?
I saw 16 and a half.
Okay.
Maybe it's gone up since then. They're at Boise State.
I'll double check it real quick.
And usually you would look New Mexico, Boise State. Okay, no chance, right, that the Lobos are hanging around. I think New Mexico's going to hang around in this game. And the reason being is they've looked good this year. Their new coach that they've got in there, he came from the University of Idaho. Kind of like a Matt Entz type of guy coming in there. I think he's kind of changed the culture there in Albuquerque. They have looked pretty solid. And even last week in that loss to San Jose State, they threw 3 interceptions, Dean, and they were still in that game into the fourth quarter. Plus, they're getting Boise, I think, at a good time. Because Boise's coming off that loss to Notre Dame, kind of got it taken to him a little bit in South Bend, right? And so I think Boise State had bigger dreams than just winning the Mountain West Conference. And that game in South Bend, that was kind of, hey, we need to win this game, because of the early loss to South Florida, to maybe have a chance down the road of getting into the college football playoff as the Mountain West champion. And I think that dream has kind of been shattered a little bit. So I think this is a little bit of a letdown spot for Boise here. And New Mexico, they're going to be clawing and scratching. They want to prove that they've made strides in the Mountain West. And so I don't know. I just think New Mexico might hang around for a while in this game. And if you hang around into the fourth quarter, who knows?
You're right. It was 16 and a half, by the way. Go ahead, Jackson.
I think if the Lobos had beaten San Jose State, there would be a lot of buzz around this game. New Mexico would be riding on a pretty good win streak. And that game was pretty close against a pretty good San Jose State team, despite what their record says. So I think 17-18 was just way too much. I think it's going to be close. I think Boise State gets it done, but I think Coach Eck and this Lobo team, they got a lot of fight to them.
I might have to add that to my plays, Dean. If it's got the Jackson seal of approval, it was just my dog that was barking, but I might have to add that as an official play.
You might. Jackson, you got an underdog of the week for us?
Let's see. I do like that Missouri game. I know it's not a big one.
No, it's okay. I'll
take
take
they're
that.
not getting as much credit probably as they deserve.
That's fine.
I'm real tempted with Air Force at Vegas. I think they're touchdown underdogs.
Yep, about a touchdown.
I think Air Force's defense is going to probably ruin it for them, but it just feels like the Rebels are bound to lose one of these games, and maybe this one's it.
I'm going to go back to Maryland again. I mean, they lost a heartbreaker last week at home to Washington, blew a 24-3 lead or 20-3 lead. It was something like that. Now they're hosting Nebraska. Nebraska coming off a big game at home against Michigan State. It's a 6.5-point spread. Maryland at home, I'll give it a shot. So let's go to NFL really quick. We don't have a whole lot of time, but one game to kind of watch for. Do you want to do 49ers Bucks or do you want to do Lions Chiefs?
Well, it's just a couple games that I had my eyes on. That'll be interesting to watch on Sunday. Some interesting storylines. I think the 49er Buck game has that in it because we've seen Tampa and what Baker Mayfield's doing. It's kind of become one of the stories of the NFL. And then the Niners, can Mac Jones keep it going? And what is the status, of Brock Purdy, going forward and these guys who are injured for the Niners? Just want to see really who's out there for the Niners in that game. But, the Bucs are one of the surprises of the early season. As far as Lions at Chiefs go, that's a pretty cool matchup on paper right there. I liked what I saw out of the Chiefs on Monday night. Couple plays that are hard to overcome, when you have like a 99-yard pick six.
Interception return.
Tons of penalties, right? But I think the Chiefs, as they're getting more healthy here, that offense is kind of re-emerging. The old Chief offense that we saw, they were moving the ball pretty much at will when they weren't penalizing themselves and when they weren't turning it over. And so Lions Chiefs, I expect some points there.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Cards and Colts after the Cardinals' devastating loss on Sunday with the DeMarcado fumble followed by the Tennessee comeback. Now they got to go to Indianapolis and play a very, very good Colts team. God, that's a tough spot. And then Kyler Murray's on the questionable side. Who's going to quarterback the Cards? So we'll see kind of what happens there.
I got a quick question for Jackson.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just
fire
curious,
away.
building off the DeMarcado thing, right? I wanted to ask Coach Entz this. Do you think coaches like bring it up at the beginning of the week in a teaching session? Like, are coaches talking about this? Because they should be, right? With players dropping the ball before they run into the end zone. Like, do you think they're bringing it up on a weekly basis?
I don't know if every coach is, but I just remember all the weird things Jeff Tedford seemed to have already addressed way before the season started. So I think there's some coaches that are on top of that.
Yeah, exciting to see Tedford's going to be honored, later this month too. So, all right, let's get into our money plays. All right, Scotty, we got our money plays really quick. Scotty didn't have any plays over on Monday, but he's got a bunch of plays today.
I promised them, and I delivered.
Let's see. There they are. Here we go. Go, Scotty.
Let's hope they truly deliver.
They're there.
Oklahoma, Texas, over 43.5. All right. 9 of the last 10 in this series, Dean, have gone way over this total,
Okay.
right? There's always points in this game for some reason. The only game that didn't was last year. My only concern is that, Mateer doesn't play, and you got the Oklahoma backup quarterback, and maybe they struggle to put some points on the board. But for some reason, it seems like the scoreboard always gets lit up when these two teams get together. 43.5 just seems like a real low number for the type of offensive talent that should be on the field in that game. Hopefully, Arch can kind of get it together. So I'm taking the over there. Arkansas, Tennessee, there's going to be no defense played in this game whatsoever. Arkansas kind of reeling a little bit after the change with the coaching situation.
Sure.
Their offensive coach taking over and Bobby Petrino. Tennessee plays fast. They score a bunch. I know that's a high number there, but Notre Dame had 42 in the first half against Arkansas, so I'm still going to go over on that game.
Big number, 68.5.
Yeah, South Carolina plus 8.5 at LSU. For whatever reason, something's just kind of missing with LSU at this point.
Okay.
They've still been able to get wins. They only have the one loss at this point, but just kind of not really clicking, especially their offense there. Meanwhile, I like having an athletic, experienced quarterback when I've got an underdog, and I really like having Sellers right there,
Right.
for South Carolina.
Yep.
I think they're a little undervalued possibly at this point, considering that he's playing well again. So I'm going to take South Carolina plus over a touchdown there in Death Valley.
Okay.
Arizona State, another team that I think is a solid outfit. And I looked at the numbers from that game against TCU. They had like 480 total yards to TCU, like 270 in that game, and I think TCU is very good.
Levitt's
right?
a great quarterback.
Yeah, and only Arizona State's only blemish was at Mississippi State. Very tight game. Could have easily won that game, kind of let it get away late. I know Utah's a tough place to play, but if you're giving me 6 in that situation, again, love having a good experienced quarterback in Sam Levitt, getting points, so I'll take the Sun Devils. I'm a little nervous about this one because I'm going against a little bit of Jackson Moore, what he had to say earlier. I was going to parlay 2 money lines together, and when I do this, I kind of imagine how surprised would I be if the underdogs in this game actually won outright.
Right.
And I think Air Force will hang around, but they've got some serious holes
They
on
do.
defense,
Yeah.
right? And on the fast turf there, Air Force usually struggles with pass defense. They don't have always like the caliber of athlete on the perimeter to kind
Right.
of hang with good throwing teams. UNLV, can throw it a little bit.
Right.
So I'm going to parlay them together with
Okay.
Oregon because although I like Indiana, I still think it's asking a lot for Indiana to go
got about
to
90
Austin
seconds left,
Stadium
so go quick.
and actually pull out a win.
Got it.
Right? So I'm going to money line that together.
Okay.
And then in the NFL, I'm going to take the Chargers. I just think the Dolphins are a team headed downhill at this point, and Chargers coming into town trying to bounce back from a loss. Give me LA.
All right, here's what I did last week. I'm not sure on the WNBA as we record this on a Wednesday night. The Aces just won to go up 3-0. But in terms of the numbers, there obviously number 5 lost, number 6 not sure yet. Here's what I got for the second page. A lot of things. Take a screenshot of it. The ones I like the best: Eagles Giants over 40. I mean, come on. I mean, as long as Jackson Dart doesn't throw 4 interceptions, I like that
Maybe
one.
it's good if you throw some pick sixes.
We'll see. I got a bunch of money line parlays in there. Take your pick on a lot of them. I got a couple pro ones in there. A futures bet at the bottom. Aces and Dodgers. The Dodgers currently are losing game 3 right now as we do this on a Wednesday night for Thursday. So we'll see what happens there. But a 2-0 lead, potentially 2-1 lead. So we'll see what happens. But want to get my man in here really quick. Jackson, thank you so much for being on the show. It's great having you. We'll have you back again anytime for sure. So Scotty and I will be back on Monday. Any last thoughts before we go?
Hey, shout out to Jackson Moore, my man, for coming on.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm sorry to go against your Air Force thought there, my friend. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to get that. Makes me nervous, Dean.
We'll be back on Monday. This has been the Beem and Dean Show.